Let's speak to Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, Democrat from Ohio, chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. Congresswoman, good morning. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. 7 Republicans voted for conviction, making it the most bipartisan impeachment trial outcome in American history. But 43 Republican senators did not, some of them while admitting that Trump was behind the violence. Where does that leave American democracy when one of the two parties in a two-party system simply won't do its duty, won't defend democracy?
Well, I think what we saw was a poisonous grip that Trump had on those Republicans who did not vote. But we are very pleased that there were 7 Republicans who stood up for the American people and who are willing to continue to fight, which means they put democracy, they put the Constitution before one man and one person. I think we will move forward. I think the good news is that we have to focus on, now that this is behind us from a congressional standpoint, is that we have a Biden-Harris administration. We have the majority in the Senate and in the House. And while Trump and those Republicans were wishing for relief, we were fighting for relief for the American people. And that's what the American people will see. We will proceed with the Biden-Harris plan and work towards the $1.9 trillion for those most in need, those who are fighting and need relief because of the COVID-19. So we have a lot of work to do now. But I was so proud of our Democrat impeachment managers who brought it up front and clear to the American people.
You represent Ohio in the U.S. House. One of your senators, Republican Rob Portman, who claims to be a moderate, who is retiring from the Senate next year, who said yesterday what Trump did on January the 6th was inexcusable because in his speech he encouraged the mob, still voted to acquit despite all of that. How do Democrats going forward work with such people across the aisle who act like they're in a cult?
Well, I think you said the operative word, cult. Obviously, we were very not only disappointed, but embarrassed in Ohio to have one senator from Ohio, Senator Brown, who stood up for the people, who values the dignity of work, and then to have a senator from Ohio who spoke out of both sides of his mouth. While he said one thing, his actions certainly said it all. The good news with that is he will not be returning to the Senate. And that gives us an opportunity to work towards electing someone who will stand with the people, but more importantly, who will stand up.
It does give you that opportunity, definitely. The Republicans in the Senate, Congresswoman, are chiefly to blame for this, of course. But Democrats in the Senate don't come out of this so well either. You know the amount of anger that is out there among grassroots Democrats at how your party has handled this in the Senate, especially yesterday with the refusal to call witnesses to testify. Even after holding and winning a vote on witnesses, that was crazy, wasn't it? This rush to end the trial and go home?
Well, no, I think you have to look at the other side. It wasn't rushing to go home. It was making sure that we didn't get into a political battle. You have to remind the American people that the Republicans exposed that they were going to bring as many as 100 witnesses and ask that we bring the equal amount of witnesses. And that was a political ploy to get us off center of what the real work is. And that's doing the American Relief Plan. That's fighting for cures and vaccinations for COVID-19. 500,000 people have died, and they wanted to play political politics. What we should be saying to the American people is the Democrats stood up for the American people.
I understand the arguments about trying to get COVID done. So why hold a vote on witnesses to begin with? Why the kind of debacle on Saturday morning if you were never going to bring witnesses anyway? That's what's not clear to me.
Well, I don't think it's that we weren't going to ever bring witnesses. We were going to bring witnesses. It was when the Republicans put politics in the play. It would have also had an effect if we were taking weeks, if not months, when we look at what President Biden also needs to do to have the Senate do their work for confirmations. There's not a lot of trust with Republican senators. You have to remember, it was just a few months ago that they would not even act on any of our House bills. So there was not a lot of confidence that the 50 Republicans would come back and do the work of the people. I think it was a wise move that our managers made because it was putting people before politics.
I guess it's not helped by Senator Chris Coons reportedly telling the House managers that they wanted to go home for Valentine's Day. But Democratic Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, appreciate your time, your insights. Chair of the Black Congressional Caucus, have a great rest of your weekend.